In 1973 in Mississippi, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were out fishing one night when they claimed that they got abducted by aliens. Charles stated that he was going to get some more bait when he heard a strange sound above him, and when he looked up, he saw a blue flashing light and a craft that was about 30 feet in length that had a little dome on top. Then they saw a door open up on this craft, and 3 robot-like beings floated down towards them. These beings, or robots, were about 5 feet tall. They had gray wrinkled skin, clawed hands, and slits for their eyes and mouths. Now Calvin and Charles were frozen in fear, and when these robots grabbed them, Calvin fainted. Charles remembered being taken into their spaceship, and they brought him to a strange room that was full of light. He was then examined by an oval-shaped probe that circled around his body. When the probe was finished, the robots came into the room and took Carl back outside, and he kind of just floated back down to the shore. And while he was floating, he saw his friend Calvin on the shore, and he was praying. Now once Charles was back on the ground, they both saw the spaceship fly away, and they tried to make sense of what just happened to them. And after a lot of talking and debating, they decided to call the Kelso Air Force Base. And they told Charles and Calvin to report this to the local sheriff, so they did. And the sheriff, as well as the deputies, thought that they were drunk or just making up stories. So the sheriff decided to put them into a room by themselves while secretly recording them. The sheriff thought that he was going to catch them in a lie, but he was shocked because Calvin and Charles sounded really scared and they kept talking trying to make sense about what happened to them. At one point, Charles said to Calvin, "It scared me to death too, son. You can't get over it in a lifetime. Jesus Christ have mercy." And the sheriff ended up believing them, or at least believing that something did happen to them. Now since these 2 men came forward, this story blew up. It was all over the local news, and soon reporters and UFO investigators came to this area hoping to get an interview. And over the next couple of weeks, there were hundreds of alleged UFO sightings. Charles and Calvin did take a lie detector test and they passed. Sadly, in 2011, Charles died, but his story never changed. And in 2019, the city put a historical marker at the location where these 2 men saw this UFO. And this marker does state that this is one of the best documented cases of alien abduction. Another strange encounter happened in 1964. One day, a 28-year-old Donald Shrum and a group of his friends were bow and arrow hunting at Cisco Grove in California. And while they were hunting, Donald got separated from his group and was lost. And as night was approaching, he decided to sleep in a tree for safety. And while he was trying to get some shut-eye, he saw a white light moving throughout the trees. At first he thought that it was a helicopter looking for him, so he jumped down from the tree, got some flares out of his pack and lit them. Then this white light turned towards him, and Donald thought that he was going to be rescued. But then the light just stopped about 50 yards or so away from him. Then Donald realized that this was no helicopter. It was a huge cigar-shaped craft. He had never seen anything like it before. Then Donald saw a smaller craft come out from it, and this smaller craft started to approach him. Now Donald, scared, climbed back up the tree. Then he saw 3 beings walking towards him. 2 of them were humanoids that were about 5 feet tall and were wearing a silver uniform that covered their heads. The third one looked like a robot. It was dark in color, had red eyes, and Donald stated that it had a slit-like opening for a mouth. Very similar to what Charles and Calvin said. Interesting indeed. Now Donald was scared out of his mind, and these aliens started to shake the tree trying to get Donald to fall. Then the robot opened his mouth, and a puff of smoke came out. Then Donald just passed out. And when he woke up, the 2 aliens were still shaking the tree trying to get him to fall. So Donald tried to scare them away. He started to throw whatever he could at them. Then he realized that he still had his bow on him, so he loaded up his bow and started to fire arrows. And one of them hit the robot, and the arrow caused a spark, indicating that it was indeed made out of metal. Now while Donald was firing arrows, another robot showed up, and this robot opened its mouth and a puff of smoke came out just like before, and Donald passed out again. And when he woke up, the 2 aliens were now trying to climb the tree, but Donald was able to knock them back down. Now this assault went on all throughout the night, and Donald was able to avoid being captured by these aliens. And when the sun rose, they finally left, and later in the day Donald was able to find his friends and get the heck back to civilization. Now this is a very famous case, and experts believe that Donald believed that this really happened to him. But if this story is true, then why couldn't these advanced alien beings get someone down from a tree? Some have suggested that maybe Donald might have been hallucinating because he was low on oxygen. But an interesting thing about this case is, one of his friends also got lost that day. And during the night he claims that he saw this huge cigar-shaped craft flying above the trees. He didn't see the aliens, but he did see the craft. Another story I wanted to cover is from the show Missing 411 The Hunted. There are tons of great cases in that episode, and I believe it's still on Amazon Prime for those that have not seen it. At the end of this episode, they talked about a strange encounter that a female hunter, Jan Maccabee, had. It is called the Predator Case. One day in Ohio, Jan wanted to do a little bit of hunting, and she had a nice little tree stand on her own property. Once she got up to her stand, she got out her bow and waited. And while she was waiting, she noticed that everything in the woods went dead quiet. There were no birds, no crickets, nothing. And as Jan was looking into the woods, she thought she had something in her eye because a part of the tree in front of her was out of focus. But she soon realized that this out of focus blob was moving throughout the trees. This was some sort of creature in almost perfect camouflage, very similar to the predator in the movies. And she just watched it move from tree to tree, and whatever this was huge. Jan stated that it was able to reach about 12 feet to the next tree. And oddly, she was not scared, she just watched and wondered, what the heck was this thing? Then it just disappeared. Now Jan did take a photo of whatever this was, but she didn't even remember taking it. And when this thing vanished, she just kind of forgot about it. When she got home, she didn't even mention it. Then later on during the evening, her husband, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, got an email stating that the local high school band saw a UFO while they were out in the field practicing. These band members, as well as others, saw a very bright light that just hovered in the sky. And when Dr. Maccabee told his wife about this, she all of a sudden remembered what happened to her, and she then told her husband about what she saw. And she believed that if it wasn't for that email that her husband got, she probably would have forgotten about this forever. Now later, Jan found out that she did take a picture of whatever this was, and something very strange happened. In the photo, you can't see the creature or anything really, but the resolution was way out of whack. The phone that Jan used doesn't even have a preset for this resolution. According to experts, you'd have to take the phone apart, rewire it, in order to even get close to this resolution. So this is an amazing case. And one thing I forgot to mention is that UFO sighting that was seen by dozens of people was only about a half a mile from where Jan was, and her encounter happened almost at the exact same time. Now Jan seems like a very nice and credible person. I don't think she's making this up. And we do have the mass UFO sighting as well as the photo, so it got me thinking, if this was an extraterrestrial being in camouflage, what the heck was it doing in the woods climbing trees? Or maybe whatever this was some sort of creature and this UFO was trying to capture it. Maybe it escaped. Or what if this was a Bigfoot? Jan did say it was huge and it was climbing trees. Many believe that Bigfoot does have this ability to somehow disappear if it doesn't want to be seen. And in many cases, eyewitnesses who believe that they had seen a Bigfoot also believe that they had seen a UFO. Now whatever the case may be, there's no doubt in my mind that there's a lot of strange stuff going on in this world, and we, the human race, have no idea what's really happening. There's just too many credible eyewitnesses out there who truly believe that they had witnessed something that was paranormal. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.